as I mentioned, our G5 High Five, the round robin portion of our program. We've done pretty well with this throughout the entire season. Can't say the same for our underdog parlay section. So you're going to want to move a little bit closer to your audio speaker for this section. I'm going to get started with a little bit of a cheat. They are FBS independent. They're not necessarily part of the G5, but we're a Big Ten organization. We like to open our arms to the teams out there in the independent wilderness. BYU laying 6.5 at Stanford. Talk about a team that just doesn't care. They're done. Stanford's done with this season. There's no hope for, we're going to bring in a new coaching staff. Apparently, David Shaw is just going to be able to coach there on the farm for as long as he wants. They've lost 4 straight by an average of 26 points per game. They just lost to their arch rival, Cal. That was the last real opportunity to get up for a game all season. They lose by 7 in a bit of a heartbreaker. BYU, on the other hand, they're closing strong. They upset Boise. They have a huge offensive showcase against Utah Tech. Jaren Hall went for 456 and 5 touchdowns in that game. And not much of a shocker because he's finally dealing with a full deck, a healthy receiving core, namely Puka Nacua. This all of a sudden becomes a different team than they were a month ago when he was constantly hurt with that high ankle sprain. They had issues on the perimeter. Who are they going to look to? Now that they're dealing at full strength, I think this BYU team is going to deal some huge body blows, some explosive plays against Stanford. And Stanford, 80th against the pass, 113th in interception rate, 82nd in sack rate. What does that translate to? They don't create any havoc. So on the other side, is there a backdoor cover opportunity whenever you see, a spread like this close to the key number of 7? Stanford's been pretty awful on offense. They're 81st in success rate, 101st in explosiveness when they have the football. I don't see them getting it done here, even though it is in Palo Alto. I like BYU adding one more win to their total this year and trying to ride some solid momentum into bowl season. BYU, a team that for a good stretch of the season was in the top 25. I think now that we're dealing with the team that took the field to start the year when they absolutely crushed USF, I think that's the kind of brand of football we're going to see here at the end. So what are your thoughts on the Cougars here playing against a Power 5 program that's really floundering?
I agree. Stanford's, they're garbage. I think they agree. They look like they've quit. And with BYU, the issue has been their defense. But like you said, the Stanford offense has just done nothing. I think it's so funny, by the way, that all the preseason draft hype, and it's going to continue because people do draft hype, don't actually watch college football. All offseason, all you're going to hear about this upcoming draft is Will Levis, Tanner McKee, and Tyler Van Dyke. And all 3 of them have been absolute garbage this season. And I cannot wait to just be so angry listening to people who don't watch college football be like, oh, but look how tall Tanner McKee is. Look how good he looks in short. It's like, yeah, but he can't play football. Same thing with Levis. All right, I digress. For mine, I'm going back to the Sun Belt as well. I'm pretty much all Sun Belt this week. I'm taking Marshall -6 against Georgia State. I bet Marshall will win the Sun Belt before the year. And while that obviously is not going to happen, I still think this has been a pretty good season, all things considered. They're 7-4, heading to a bowl game for the 6th straight year. Thundering Herd beat Notre Dame in South Bend, which just looks even better now. They've won 3 games in a row, 4 of the last 5. Starting quarterback Henry Colombi got hurt after 6 games. Redshirt freshman Cam Fancher had to take over. He struggled a little bit at first, but he has 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 games. But the biggest news for the Thundering Herd came last week. Rasheen Ali is back. He finally came back last year after leading the country in touchdowns last season. And he kind of looked like his old self. He had 16 carries for 79 yards, averaged 4.9 yards per carry. But even without him, honestly, this offense has been dominant on the ground. Kalen LeBourne is averaging 120 yards per game this season, 14 scores, both lead the Sun Belt. But honestly, the real star of this Marshall team has been its defense. Do you know Marshall's 2nd in the entire country in defensive success rate?
I did not know that. I had a feeling, obviously, that they were carrying them, considering they couldn't throw the ball for the entire season. But that's still impressive to be that high up on the board.
Yeah, they're 2nd in the whole country. They're 2nd against the pass, 7th against the run. They've allowed just 4.4 yards per play. And Georgia State has the 5th highest rush rate in the country and is just 98th in success rate. Darren Granger has been this team's leading rusher last year. After both Greg and Williams averaged over 66 yards per game last year, they've both averaged under 63 this year. So both of them have just taken big steps back. The offense has just not looked right really all year. And they were another team I was super high on coming into the year. And they've just kind of looked like a mess all year. This Marshall defense is so good. And they're so deep at every single spot. Like, they don't really have a weakness. Eli Neal, Charlie Gray, and Abraham Beauplan are 3 stud linebackers that just totally clogged the run. They got Stephon Gilmore's little brother, and Micah Abraham are both lockdown corners. And then Owen Porter is just an absolute freak getting after the quarterback. He has 44 pressures and 10 sacks this season. This unit is second in the country at creating havoc. Georgia State doesn't throw a lot, but when they do, their offensive line is not very good. Granger is going to be under pressure anytime he drops back. And Georgia State has had a really disappointing 4-7 season. Their season's over, while Marshall still has the bowl game to look forward to. And I think they get the added boost of Ali returning. He's definitely going to want to keep fighting. So I think Marshall kind of just runs it up on him here at home, lane 6. I think the Thunderbird pull away pretty good.
Yeah, I like that play. That's another game that I'm going to watch a little bit of because I think we've been deprived the whole season. We wanted to see what Lamborghini, Laburn, and Ali would look like, being a 1-2 punch. Clearly, Laburn was able to carry the load throughout the season, going well over 1,000 yards rushing in his own right. So I think the recipe's there. Great defense, great running game. That should be enough against a Georgia State team that I believe last week gave up 42 points to James Madison. So they're more than happy to give up explosive plays left and right. This time of year, feast week, turkey week, whether it's the Wednesday before big drinking holiday, make sure to mix in a glass of water at some point, or Thanksgiving and the day after. Everyone just wants to treat themselves constantly. It's excess. And when it comes to gambling, that usually translates to bet over on everything. Life's too short to bet the under, blah, blah, blah. Well, here I am to just give you a little, something food for thought in this spot, which is mix in an under. Whether that's the equivalent of mixing in a salad, during the Thanksgiving meal or something, just a little something that's good for you, taking your vitamins, so to speak. How about
throw a little carrots on your plate?
Yeah, exactly. They can have a demi-glaze. They can still be tasty. How about this for a demi-glaze? Under 46.5, Troy, Arkansas State. Troy keeps showing up for me. They don't let up big plays. They're 12th in that department in the entire country in terms of limiting explosiveness. They're 16, or pardon me, they're giving up 16.6 points per game in the entire season. That's 7th nationally. You just dropped a Sun Belt stat in terms of a top 10 defensive metric. There's another top 10 defensive metric. And their offense stinks. It still does. I mean, I know I took them last week. They were able to cover the number, but they're 82nd in success rate. They're 90th in explosiveness. They're not particularly great on the ground, although they had some success last week. And the thing about Arkansas State, they've been a whipping boy for us, dating all the way back to the preseason. Love to go after Butch Jones. This defense was supposed to be historically bad. They're not. They're actually pretty good against the run. And I think that what that's going to do is going to force some longer drives, going to force the ball into the air in terms of, Troy's game plan. That's not great for them. So at the end of the day, I see this game being played potentially in the teens and Troy relying on their just incredible defense. And when you look at these two teams in conference play, unders have gone 9-5 in the 14 games across these two programs. And Troy's Sun Belt unders have cashed by an average of 10.7 points per game, which is incredible because there's been some really low numbers in the high 30s, low 40s. So I'm going to go ahead with the under here. When I saw it in the mid 40s, I was like, I got to go ahead and grab that. Troy needs this game to secure their trip to the Sun Belt Championship game, winning by the tiebreaker over South Alabama. So not a look ahead spot, not something that they're going to get into, a problem in terms of taking Arkansas State lightly. So I'll take under 46.5. I know it's not the sexiest pick here in the last week of the regular season, but I want to have some winners here for our audience. What do you think, Ianella?
I absolutely love it. I love this Troy team, and their defense is just so good. And I agree with you where it's not a look ahead spot, but I also do think it's very much just win and get a dodge spot where they're going to be fine. Hey, we go out there and we know we can shut them down and we win, 21-10. That's ball game. And I think they'll look to do that. Just, hey, let's just get the win and get to the Sun Belt title. And I am so excited to bet them in the Sun Belt championship game. I don't even care what the line is. I'm betting them against Coastal. I don't care what it is. Could be -10. I'm laying it.
We are almost here with the round robin. We got one more each. Hit me with it.
Yep. Tease it. I'm doubling down. I'm taking Southern Miss. I had them written down. Southern Miss against UL Monroe. Same thing. 5-6 team. Needs a win to reach a bowl berth. First time in 3 years. First under Will Hall. You mentioned it. The Warhawks just aren't good at anything. If you look at their advanced metric page, it's just red everywhere. 95th in success rate on offense. 103rd on defense. Don't throw the ball well. Don't run the ball well. Don't defend the run well. Don't defend the pass well. The entire page just read. The only thing they're above average in is they're 38th in passing explosiveness. So shout out to them there. But Southern Miss 19th in the country success rate on defense. You mentioned it. Their defense has been terrific against the run, top 35 against the run and the pass. The offense isn't great, but I don't know what's going on with them with quarterback issues again. Ty Keys played just 3 games. Trey Lowe's played 5. He's back now. He should be the starter. Zach Wilkie's played 8. They've had 6 players attempt to pass this season after having 11 players attempt to pass last year. Frank Gore, he continues to be the heart and soul of this team. So Southern Miss is just better. And I think they have the motivation. They need it. I don't think UL Monroe is going to be able to score or move the ball very well. Our action hour power ratings make this 6.5 on a neutral field. So no matter how much you give the Warhawks for home field advantage, which I don't think is much, I certainly like getting -3. And like you said, I'd play us up to 6.5 as well, just given the motivation that's clearly on the Golden Eagles side, trying to reach a bowl game here.
Yeah, this will be a game that I'm at no point am I going to open up the action app and say this is in hands, just because Southern Miss is not going to be able to pull away. They're not going to score probably more than 28 points in this game. But I think if they do get into the upper 20s, I think it's a lock given their defense and their brand of football. For my last play here in the G5 High Five, I'm taking a car, driving up to Podcast Prison, going through security, walking in. Who's on the other side of the window? It's Sean Lewis. I pick up the receiver. I put my hand on the glass. He puts his hand on the glass. No, I'm not here to bet on you, pal. I'm here to fade you one last time here in the 2020 season. Give me Buffalo -4. The Bulls need this win to get to bowl eligibility because they got snowed out of a game against Akron. That would have been their chance to get to win number 6. They get a de facto bye week from the Superstorm, so they're able to have some extra time to prepare against a Kent State offense that can move the football. In MAC play, though, Kent is dead last in total defense, giving up 436.4 yards per game. Buffalo in conference play, averaging 33 points per game. They kill teams in time of possession. They are first in the MAC. Kent is dead last. This is going to be a game that they control the tempo, they control the game flow, and Buffalo's run defense is the key in this. Marquez Cooper is all that the Golden Flashes have left at this point in terms of an offensive engine. Buffalo 15th in defensive success rate against the run nationally. I don't need to see any more. I think they're going to get enough from their offense. I think that the bye week strategically is going to have them fired up. Every ounce of motivation on the table. They need this win to get to 6-5 with that game off of their schedule. So I'm going to take the Bulls here -4 against Kent, a team that has been maddening the entire season, but I don't think you're going to see a virtuoso performance from Sean Lewis in the final game of the season with nothing to play for. They can't go bowling. So I'm going to go with the Bulls. Is this a stay away game for you for any reason, or are you going to also come in here and just slam the bet button with me?
Already bet it. I bet it. I think it opened at like 2.5. So I actually have it under a field goal. So I already bet it. I think this was actually maybe the first bet I played all week. Yeah, so I absolutely love it. I'm the same boat as you. They need it for the ball. They basically had a bye week. Kent State's, coming off the run of the title game last year, disappointing season. I think they've kind of punted. So I definitely love the Bulls.